Hey, what's going on? Sometime in December, Jagex put out a survey. According to them, too many submissions were made, so they had to close it down. And I knew they'd pull a stunt like that. Once like 100 people submitted a response, they were gonna cut it off. I saw it coming, so I screenshotted the entire survey and still have everything. And we're gonna go through it. All of our emotions and opinions are gonna be left right here on this video. They can't escape this. There's gonna be far more than 100 submissions. I can promise you that. This is our game. We care about it a lot, probably. Happy New Year, by the way. Painted my wall green. I can go like this now. So it's gonna be a good year. So the survey was all over the place. I'm not gonna go over everything, just the things that I think would be kind of fun to talk about. Jagex has some plans, it looks like, and I'm curious to see what you guys think of them. There's some pretty crazy things pitched in this survey, so I think we gotta talk about some stuff. Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. I'm mobile game expert Johnny Dadswali, and I'm here to tell you all about Call of Dragons, an epic fantasy cross-platform 4X strategy game with MMORPG elements. It features real-time fantasy battles with both PvE and PvP. And you're probably thinking, well, Mr. Dadswali, I'm used to a healthy lifestyle of being outdoors and socializing. Well, that's what's so special here. Call of Dragons utilizes 3D terrain, true 3D terrain that shapes all of the gameplay. Mountains, rivers, valleys, all the topography you can think of. All that time you've been spending outdoors near trees and rocks is finally going to pay off. You've got these magical artifacts that can turn you invisible, increase speed, heal your party members for all of their lost health, put them alongside your allied forces. You've got yourself a big battlefield boost. We call that a triple B. And these battles are huge, taking place across a 3.88 kilometer map. No idea what a kilometer is, but you know, I'm assuming that means fairly big. So get ready to strategize with true 3D terrain. Click the link in the description or the pinned comment, or scan this here QR code. Don't forget to use promo code CODFantasy. This has been Johnny Dadswali. Thank you to Call of Dragons for sponsoring today's video. The first thing mentioned is membership. A lot of craziness around membership this year. They had this big promotion in the summer. It was like 50% off a premier membership. Of course, there was a lot of speculation about why that happened. A lot of conspiracies out there that are probably completely true. They're calling it a new premium membership. I'm assuming they're gonna do something with the Jagex accounts there, so you pay for the Jagex account. Pick 3 of your accounts to have membership, whatever. They're saying this could come with extra benefits, like name changes, bonds, stuff like that, which in theory sounds great. On paper, for us, amazing. But until they fix the blatant botting issues, revenant bots, gambling bots, the spamming bots, they're everywhere, dude, and they're on members worlds. They're paying for membership, whether it's a bond or real money, they're there on members worlds. The people botting are 100 times more excited about the idea of a premium multiple account membership than any of us are, even if they choose to ignore the botting thing and make it a much bigger problem. Yeah, I'm gonna pick the option that's not as expensive. But now let's get into the actual game. This is where I feel the survey really started. The first section is asking what kind of game we think old school should be. Design details for our characters are important from old school history. The old school aesthetic is gonna be important for gear that they put out, just anything that we wear. If they do some sort of deal in the future, I don't think there should be like a Bob the Cat shirt, but it says NVIDIA on it or something. I don't know if that's what they're talking about. Advantages in OSRS should be earned, not paid for. Yeah, even if I didn't think that, I wouldn't say it in public. A silly question. Success in OSRS should entail effort and persistence. Yeah. In-game updates should be guided by its players. I feel like this whole section was just bait. If you press disagree on any of these, the rest of your submission is just blank. How would these updates make you feel about old school RuneScape? New areas to explore. Yeah, I hope Varlamore is that. They just put a quest out to kind of tease it a little more. It's coming. Hopefully Varlamore comes out and we've got all these cracks and crevices to crawl around in. That would be nice. Holiday events. I actually didn't plan on talking about this. The Christmas event this year. What the fuck was that? What are you guys doing? Me and Flutton usually stream on New Year's as a tradition. We decided to mess around and create Hardcore Group Ironman, and it started as a joke, as the first thing we're gonna do is do the Christmas event. The fact that we made hundreds of people sit through us doing that was like a punch in the face. There wasn't even an attempt there. Taking one of the worst mechanics possible from RuneScape 3, putting it into a holiday event that people kind of just want the items anyway, was really sad. And I heard that RuneScape 3 got praised for its holiday event this year, so maybe get someone from RuneScape 3 team to come down and make the holiday events every year. I don't know. Fuck, man, that sucked. Sailing. Yeah, man. You're still making it, right? Keep doing it. Keep making sailing. We'll be here. Community events like Pride. Yeah, that's fine. I don't really care. Sequel quest to storylines. You motherfuckers want By-Release to go on forever, don't you? Yes, we have so many stories that need completing. Do these stories justice and finish them. Assigned training tasks to do with a friend. So it's like Group Slayer, but artisan. Put it in. Month-long competitive event. If there's incentive to do it, yeah, sure. I think the sweaty players, especially the big content creators that are always like grinding leagues and everything, would definitely like that. I don't think casual players are gonna be grinding monthly events too often. Same way that some people might log on to leagues for a couple days and then not play anymore. I think if you do monthly events, you should make a bigger spectacle out of it. Kind of like the All-Star tournament where you had people fly in and compete in an All-Star tournament at Jagex HQ. I think it would bring a lot of good publicity to Old School to have events like this take place where you actually have players physically there that the community recognizes. Seeing them compete in something like this, maybe like the final week. Update to minigames, both gameplay and rewards. Yeah, if you want to. New facilities for players to create plugins and adapt to the official client. I don't know, something just feels weird about creating something for the official Jagex client, because we've had very talented players creating these awesome plugins for RuneLite and for all the players to use just as this thing that they did for the community that they're a part of. Something just feels weird about having players who would normally create something in their own time for the community-made RuneLite client, doing it for Jagex's client instead. It's just, something's off about that. It feels off. I feel like if Jagex wants to do something like that, they have to pay whoever's making it. They're wanting you to create something for them, for Jagex, this company that runs things and has money to pay you. RuneLite, there's no one making money. The only person really who's ever made money from RuneLite is Adam, who created the whole thing in the first place. I'm not sure how much he's made, but it's probably not enough. But if Jagex did start, you know, encouraging people to make stuff for their client, there has to be monetary incentive. Let me know what you guys think of that, because it's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't know how I feel about it. From now until the very last time I log out, I will probably be using RuneLite. New minigame to play. With Varlamore coming out, I would hope there's a couple minigames that we can play. Now this is what made me want to make this video. Player-run game worlds that do not affect the main game. So essentially what Jagex is saying here is, how do you feel about Jagex endorsed private servers? Which is kind of cool that they're even considering. This could be pretty big, for better or worse. I don't know. This gets complex. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Skill renovations. I'm not sure when shooting stars became super popular. I know they've been in the game for a few years. It wasn't until like this last year that they just became this big craze, but I kind of see that as a skill renovation. There became this way to train mining that was actually AFK, not like motherload AFK, but real AFK for a small amount of XP. That's kind of cool. I think there should be more things like that, where a lot of players can go to one area together and talk their shit. New costume and character customization options. Always. Yes, not a lot of players are playing for the fashionscape. Obviously, social life isn't the biggest part of Old School anymore, because that's just the way that the culture has gone. Costume and character customizations is absolutely a huge way to spark a social community out of Old School again, which sounds silly because it's not doing anything with like implementing a social mechanic into the game, a new socialization hub. It opens up for conversation. It sparks people asking, where'd you get that? Oh, you look good. How are you single? Which most other MMOs do. Even if it's not transmog. Like, why not put monthly new outfits in the fucking Varrock clothes store? Doesn't need to be microtransactions. You can pay for it with in-game gold. It's just a thing to do. Just fucking make the clothes shops cool. This next section here is talking about liking the video. Yeah, don't poll that. Just put it in. Don't ask for anyone's opinion on that. Next section's kind of talking about the priority of updates that they're thinking of doing. Game mechanics of PvP. PvP was a tough topic 3-4 years ago. It's become even a tougher topic now because of what state it's in. It's kind of a gaming sin to lower the ceiling, but I feel like that's the only way to revive PvP, truly. All the PK video makers spend so much time sitting around and hopping worlds, you wouldn't believe the amount of hours that each one of them has to just dilly-dally around until they find one person. And even if the players do go into the wilderness, the thing that they're most worried about is how the fuck do I get out of here faster? They're not fighting back. They're surviving. They're tank testing. That's all players are doing. There's no 1v1ing happening. Because why the fuck? Why would you? If someone like Kevin, if he runs into a player with my skill set, I'm not fighting back. I'm not fighting back. And I'm gonna die probably. It's better to just run and escape and work on your tank testing. It really is unfortunate because, you know, the wilderness and PvP were such a big reason for old school even existing in the first place. Changing entire PvP mechanics would be a very crazy project that I don't think Jagex is ever going to pursue. Updating graphics of existing areas. You don't need to do that. People are making plugins to make the game prettier for you. I don't think you need to focus on that at all. Modes for the game, Iron Man, etc. I don't think something like this would be totally necessary. I feel like people are just gonna do it anyway and it's not worth the dev time. I guess that's where I stand on it now. Mid-level PVM updates. Yes, do that more. UI improvements. I don't think the UI needs any improvements personally. I mean, on RuneLite, you can already move shit around wherever you want it. Elite high level PVM combat challenges. If you want to cater to the 25 people who will be able to complete anything harder than is already in the game, go for it. Update the tutorial and early game experience. If I've learned anything from RuneScape 3, just leave the tutorial. It's fine. Tutorial Island is perfectly okay, and millions of players have been fine learning the game and playing. I personally think you should get rid of that little asshole adventurer John, giving freebies out so much. I don't need that guy. Would you be interested in playing a fresh character on a new game mode? I'll be honest with you. No. Literally the night before Trailblazer got released, I had to go to the hospital for 4 days, so I think it kind of messed with my participation of Trailblazer, but also when I was back, I just didn't really enjoy it like I thought I would, and I don't know why. If I had to guess, it's that I've made 800 different characters for different reasons, and even though it was like the dopamine of completing tasks and the large XP rates, I just didn't find the incentive of it big enough to dedicate time to playing it. I barely played. I didn't play the league, which was surprising to me. I've made a lot of accounts, dude. I've made a lot of them. If the Varlamore idea that I had, that's pretty crazy, it would require a ridiculous amount of dev time. If that was implemented, I'd probably play something like that. Game mode concepts. Ruthless mode. So this is a mode where the game would just simply be harder, with XP rates being slower, with bosses being extremely difficult, and pathfinding. You can't safe spot. Basically, anti-dopamine. I'll be honest, this sounds miserable. I'm very curious of what big streamers and dudes who grind things like leagues think about something like this. This one's kind of interesting. Hardcore main accounts. This is actually a concept that is currently being used in World of Warcraft right now for the classic World of Warcraft. Basically, there's a hardcore server, so everyone there is hardcore. You get one life. If you die, you gotta transfer your character to a normal server. You don't get to play on the hardcore one anymore, but you can use the auction house, trade players, have friends give you items. It's just, you've got one life. That's the only catch, which is what this would be. You could still use the Grand Exchange. You could still trade things to your account. You just can't die. The only way that this would really work and have an actual incentive to play is not only its own high scores, but its own servers. Servers that are only for hardcore main accounts. Because if you can just make a hardcore account and just give yourself 500 million gold to start it out and start going up to high scores over, like having an unfair advantage, not gonna work. Bronzeman mode. What's up, Kev? So if you don't know, Bronzeman mode was initially made by Goody and then was basically taken over by Kevin. You're playing an Iron Man until you obtain an item once, no matter how you obtain it, other than obviously trading. Having it be an official PK account would kind of be weird because then players could just cheat and have them kill themselves in another account and get whatever items they wanted. PKing would probably have to be sliced out of the equation, so the original idea of Bronzeman mode wouldn't be there. PVM I guess, would have to be the Bronze Man mode. Generate task. This is Tedious's series. He's got a big spreadsheet of tasks separated by difficulty. He presses a button and it rolls one of the tasks. And whatever it rolls, he's got to do it. And fun fact, I tried this series once using his exact spreadsheet. I think I deleted the footage last year because I was like, I'm never gonna do anything with it, which is funny because I would totally show it now. The first thing I rolled was to get a Castle Wars cape. So I had to go AFK in Castle Wars until I was able to get the cape. And then my next task was to defeat a goblin champion, which I needed to get a champion scroll from a goblin. Doing that from an early level wasn't gonna happen. I logged out forever. But that was with Tedious's insane spreadsheet. It was built to be insane. I'm assuming if Jagex did something like this, it would be like, go kill 10 cows, string a yew longbow, and you could only cut yews and spin flax, and that's it. You just fletch and spin flax. I don't know how this would work. Honestly, I think this would just be a better plugin, which I think there already is a plugin that can help you do this, generates some random tasks for you. I'll throw it right here. If it does, I'll find it. Official restricted Iron Man mode. We already talked about this a little bit. Anyone who tries an area restricted account will quickly realize that area restricted accounts are very hard. They're meant to be hard. Sometimes content creators are really good at making things seem very exciting and entertaining, which is miraculous considering what they're doing. Settled created Swampletics and made every single episode fucking on your toes, ready to watch the next episode as soon as it ended. Primary monitor content, it is extremely difficult to do that because playing a Morytania locked Iron Man fucking sucks. He is a different breed of psychopath. No matter where you restrict yourself, it's going to be insanely difficult. A lot of people would try and immediately give up because they're fucking hard. Honestly, it's all about how you personally feel about your own RuneScape goals. If doing something in a challenging way is appealing to you, this might seem fun. Putting RuneScape 3 updates into old school RuneScape. The first one's talking about distractions and diversions. That's things like finding the penguins hiding around the world. I think that's weekly. I think there's always been a big chunk of players that literally treat this like a daily login game, and all they do is dailies. I'm surprised there's not more of these things already. Skill updates. I was not a big fan of the way they did that. It seemed to just really slow it down for me, which I know a lot of RuneScape 3 players will counter that, saying that it's very fast if you do it correctly, but doing it correctly is hard because it's complicated and it's not easy to understand. Maybe not that one. Now, but the combat mini games like Fist of Guthix and Stealing Creation, I know a lot of people want Stealing Creation and have been begging for it for years. Why not put it in the game? New skills like Dungeoneering and Summoning. I think Summoning would be really cool. I've heard a lot of players say, no Summoning was bad. But I feel like especially now, the way that the game is structured, being almost played solo, Summoning would fit in perfectly. I think it's just that it came out with the updated graphics, so we don't associate it to old school. But Summoning came out not even a year after our initial old school backup server that started old school. It's not all that different from the timeline that we were asking for. The maximum efficiency players, I think, would really end up enjoying Summoning, even if they're saying they're not a fan of it. It would help Iron Men stay at bosses longer, help skilling in general. I think it would absolutely fit in old school, personally. Quests, well, they've already started doing that. Certain quests absolutely can be ported in. I think quests that lead into a bigger story definitely have to tread carefully. If they copy and pasted While Guthix Sleeps from RuneScape 3 to old school, it would definitely need to be rewritten a little bit because it's such a complicated story. It can lead into something even bigger. So I talk about it all the time with how complex the RuneScape 3 universe got. It's almost a chore to understand anything in that game. Raiding and dungeons. I don't know too much about the raiding and dungeons of RuneScape 3. I know that the Elite Dungeon 3 that I did was just an exploit for fast XP. Its whole purpose is to just boost accounts. Things like that, obviously, no, don't put stuff like that in. I think there's a lot of opportunity in dungeons, so I think it's worth looking into a little bit. This part here is asking what kind of things we like to see in quests. Dark and serious tones. They need to be very conscious of keeping a hero arc out. Make sure that our player does not become a hero. I don't want anyone referring to us as a hero or a champion or a fucking savior. Our player is an adventurer and should remain an adventurer. And sometimes it's like a fine line that's walked when it's a dark and serious tone in a quest. It's got to keep that theme of us just being this fucking guy. Interesting puzzles. You can make them as cool as you want, but I think people are either going to try and solve them for their own challenge, or they're just gonna make it highlighted green on their screen and be done with it. Fun and quirky tones. Fun and quirky tones are what makes a lot of the best quests the best quests. As much as I throw shade at the my arm joke, it did just lean into being silly, and I think it did make for a lot of people's favorite quests. Deep and immersive plots and in-depth characters. Every player has their own feelings on how involved they want to get with the story. Having optional dialogue is extremely important. There were a lot of times in A Kingdom Divided where the characters would just start telling something completely irrelevant about themselves and something that happened that didn't directly correlate to the story. It had nothing to do with the mission at hand. It was just them developing themselves as a character, which I think would be better implemented as optional dialogue after what they need to say is said, and if people want to know more, they can know more. Absolutely develop characters, give them some crazy stories that you can choose to ask about and pursue and find notes to reveal things they didn't tell you. You can build shit up about them as much as you want. It's even cooler if you let the player discover it themselves. I don't want to hear about some NPC's relationship while we're trying to solve this crazy 100-year mystery. Exciting new rewards. I'd like some boring things, please. I'd like to be very underwhelmed as I see the quest complete screen. It asks a little bit about combat and quests, whether you think they're a little too challenging or not. If you think about a quest like Desert Treasure, the first one, and why it became such an iconic quest. I don't know about you guys, but I really only remember the fights. When it comes to me thinking about Desert Treasure, all I'm thinking about is the 4 dudes I have to fight for all of the diamonds. I'm not thinking about the little things I had to do in between. Combat absolutely creates the best quest. I think a quest should stump some players. I think it should become an incentive to get your combat stats up a little bit. Experience with Jagex accounts. I've heard horror stories. I don't know if they're true. I don't know whose fault they are. My experience with them has been good. That's all I have about it. I like it. I don't have to type my shit in every time I open it up. It asks if any of your game experience is ruined by some of this stuff, which not really. I know some players have unstable connections sometimes during pretty crucial moments. I think players botting, spamming the chat, I think that's the only thing that I can think of personally that affect my experience, and it's really not that big of a deal. I could just put them on ignore or hide them. It's weird that it's not handled. I don't know what the story is. I don't know why Jagex moderators haven't addressed this, but there's a bot problem, and it kind of feels like they're not doing shit about it. Even if they say they are, they need to do something else because it's not working and it's annoying. Players are making plugins that can identify spamming bots. Email one of the plugin makers, see what they're doing. That's working so well. This doesn't have much to do with anything. I just thought it was funny that they included it. Do your non-playing friends know you play old school? And this just reminded me of most of us growing up. It was kind of embarrassing that we played RuneScape for no reason. Console games, anything on console, good, great. But don't mention RuneScape. Whatever you do, people are gonna think you're a nerd, they're gonna hate you, they're gonna steal your lunch money if you mention RuneScape. Don't do it. Avoid it like the fucking plague. But now it's like, yeah, I play RuneScape. It's probably because we're adults. This is most likely it. I just thought it was funny that they asked that. So I'm very excited to talk about this part. This could get its own video down the road depending on how Jagex moves forward with this. It's time to talk about custom player-created servers. This could get wild and wacky. So these would be servers that are separate from the main game, doing whatever you want. It's just a private server. Features that would be seen in player-made servers. Player-made skills. Now, obviously, with player-made servers, there's gonna be some really cool shit. There's also gonna be 99.9% dog shit. So I feel like a new skill made by a player, implemented by a player, if they made that good, I mean, Jagex would have to hire them. That sounds crazy for a player to make a good working balanced skill. Granted, it doesn't have to be. It could be absolutely wacky. Firearms, shooting guns, sniper rifle unlocked at level 70. Someone will make that, I'm sure. Official content that is made by Jagex that's no longer in the game. Now, I don't know if my brain is stumped here, but I don't know what they're talking about. Like holiday events or something? I don't know what they're really talking about here. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. Exclusive Jagex made content for custom servers. Luckily, they've already done that. It's called Leagues. So I guess I'll say yes to that. Tweaking of game mechanics, so drop rates, XP rates being changed on the server. It would be really weird to make a custom server and not tweak these things and just play the game normally. Player design quests. I promise you, if these servers happen, you will get it. That's all I'm gonna say. But I am very excited if players are given the opportunity to make their own quests. New original game modes. I think that would probably be the primary creator purpose of these servers. Battle Royale, Prop Hunt, Gielinor Games, custom servers are perfect for that. Character creator with customizable skill sets, base stats. I think they usually do this for beta worlds where you can select a class and it gives you, 70 defense, 99 strength, whatever you're wanting. A lot of servers will probably have completely customizable skills, especially if these servers are intended to rid private servers for good. For PvP-based servers, these are probably absolutely gonna thrive. I can just see it now, only certain gear being accessible and making like a true 2007 experience and watching people PK with fucking whips and DDS and dragon scimitars. That would be amazing. A 2007 PK server ran by someone. I mean, that would be a booming fucking private server. Player designed armor and weapons. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of goofy shit. Player designed bosses. With things like this, obviously Jagex would need to give players access to tools that can create assets for the game. If that happens, players are going to just be able to go wild with creating things like bosses. There would probably be bosses way cooler than any of the bosses in the game right now. Content designed by popular creators. I'm a popular creator. I can do no wrong or make bad. Come to my server. Everything I make is profit. And you like it. I never make anything bad. I've never done it. It's never happened. This section is just asking how likely you are to do these things with the private servers. Like, I'm curious if you guys would use private servers where it would just be you and your friends playing. When Group Iron Man first came out and a bunch of creators came over from different games and essentially got a creator server with boosted XP rates because, RuneScape is a very grindy game and they weren't gonna pay them to dedicate a month of their life to get to mid-level. So they just boosted the XP rates. I can see that happening when a player is trying to show their friends how fun the game is. That of course means that they would only play on those private servers and never the main game, because that would suck, going from fast to slow. Normally not too fun. I'm curious what you guys would do if you'd be looking to join a big server, a big public private server to play on regularly, or if you'd just be making small ones for your friends. Obviously for creators, it's nice for things like Prop Hunt. I'm just not sure how it would translate to casual player base. I don't know if this is very demanded. Personally, I would love to spend a ton of time, pay people to create things and run a server and just have a really crazy version of the game up. Quests are tweaked, rewards are tweaked, sequels are made, just mess around. Just have a community come together and create something. But again, that's a giant project with a lot of time and money involved. Doing that on your own would obviously take hundreds and hundreds of hours. I think this is a very cool idea to continue exploring. If you guys have your dream server in mind, what you would do here, let me know. Because if I do a video on this later, I want to talk about some of your ideas. Maybe if they're good, I might steal. And lastly, it just says thoughts on other services. Video blogs on Jagex Launcher. Please don't do it. All launchers, all of them, fucking suck. Launchers are notorious for making players hate the company that is giving them a launcher. Jagex Launcher is good. It launches very fast. I have it launch as soon as I open my computer. It's up fast. It doesn't take a lot of resources. Adding videos in there, especially any sort of media, is gonna start slowing shit down unless it's perfectly optimized, which it won't be, it's gonna start slowing shit down and it's gonna piss people off. Keep the launcher as is. The very last thing, new game set in Gielinor. I believe there was some sort of leak. I don't know how credible this leak is. I'm not gonna really post anything because I don't want to get in trouble. Some sort of game supposedly leaked that's supposed to be set in Gielinor. All I know is it had a battle pass. And if you try to pull that shit, Jagex, it will most definitely fail if shit like a battle pass is gonna be running that game. You leave microtransactions out of this. Take away the battle pass, but what happens when the month ends and nothing new is there to get money for? Well, you better make a good fucking game then. But that's pretty much it. Sorry I haven't been too active. I've still been recovering. It's been a little shaky over here, but I'm okay. Here I am. I've been working on the 2 big projects still. Just chipping away at them. And the first big one is coming at the end of this month. It's finally here. Very excited. So I guess I'll just see you then. How about that? How about we end here? All right? I'll see you at the end of the month. Big passion project. And I hope I'll see all of you there. See you soon.